Hannah Barker, who's an activist with Extinction Rebellion in Brighton, and was played a key coordinator for the XR activities around the Labour Party conference. So, over to you.
Thanks. So my path has been basically starting, just attending one meeting with Extinction Rebellion in Brighton. I went on to take part in bike swarming, which is a great way of getting involved. It's very easy access. And I also then went on to organise South East Rebel Rising, which was it's like a training camp with places for rebels around the South East to come together, meet each other and start to connect and form plans for the October Rebellion, which has just finished. We have 2 weeks in London, but also across 6 continents and across 60 cities. Extinction Rebellion headline has 3 key demands, and that's the government should act now to halt biodiversity loss and climate change, to tell the truth about that, and to form citizens' assemblies to bring people together, ordinary people together, to find solutions. So that's where the solutions come from. What I was going to share today is just quickly a few what I have found to be unique and useful elements of Extinction Rebellion. Not that they're unique to Extinction Rebellion, and just to acknowledge that they come from a massive historic history of different activists going forward, but in terms of my own involvement, it's the first time I've come across some of these things, and I think that they're really worth considering for any organisation on the left that are something new. Maybe, I don't want to try and claim it, but so the first thing I wanted to mention was about how engaging and how individuals are really facilitated to participate in actively there's a huge amount of organisation that goes on with many people being involved in all different activities, and I think that's really significant. So there are many roles in this complex organisation, and that comes from, I think, a couple of things. One is that Extinction Rebellion is decentralised and is self-organising. So, for example, in Brighton, there's an organisation that runs itself, where we have working groups in media and messaging, actions, strategy, welfare, an arts team, finance team. And the other thing which I think really creates participation is the fact that we do peaceful civil disobedience on the street, and that all the things around that are needed to support that to happen are also fulfilled by roles that many people come into and learn about and train in. So legal observation, everyone is trained in non-violent direct action, things like non-violent communication, running information desks so the public can come and find out information, police liaison, this kind of thing. So all of those things create hope and they create connection, which are things that have been mentioned today. I wanted to mention the acknowledgement of emotional well-being in the principles. They're listed a couple of the 10 principles talk about regenerative culture and non-violence, and I don't want to try and explain those now, but there's an acknowledgement of the grief and anger that we all have in us, and if we don't have an opportunity and get this and respect each other to have some space to talk about that, it stops us from thinking and planning well, and I think that that's a real strength that Extinction Rebellion has within it. Also, people's assemblies as a transformative form of democracy, I think is really valuable. Creativity is sewn into the heart of Extinction Rebellion. We're a really colourful movement, and I think that draws people in. Challenges. So there was much critique and debate within Extinction Rebellion and towards Extinction Rebellion about us being a predominantly privileged white middle class organisation. It's not unique to Extinction Rebellion, but it is something that we really need to be looking at, and we are. And there is a hell of a lot of debate going on, which I'm part of. And although it's a very difficult subject, and all that's been talked about today is in the mix, and I think we have a lot of learning to do. But what I haven't seen is denial or defensiveness about that. There may be confusion in all sorts of different sort of political experience or confidence or understanding, but I think that one of the solutions out of all of this, just to end on, is I think that building further the movement of movements and solidarity between some different organisations such as yourselves will be really useful in helping us think through this. And also, Extinction Rebellion needs to build further on the International Extinction Rebellion arm, which is a growing, strengthening movement. And just to mention, there's discussion about the adoption of a fourth demand. So I mentioned the three: Act Now, Tell the Truth, Citizens Assembly. The fourth demand, which has been adopted in parts of the US, is specifically around climate justice. So I think there's a lot of debate going on about whether that's the way that one of the things that we need to do.